Hello and welcome to this edition of Diaspora Central Spotlight. I am Gil Ingles, and with me in the studio today, virtually from Washington, D.C., by way of Brazil, is no one else than the queen of samba, the DMV lady that knows how to samba. Zezeh, welcome to Diaspora Central.
Thank you, Gil. It's such a pleasure to be here. First, I want to acknowledge you who you do and bring this amazing energy to the world.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure, and I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you
and bring the Brazilian energy.
Yes, indeed. That's the Lusophone thing. We got to make sure that all the Lusophones, all the Portuguese speaking kind of understand that vibe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I have to say, Brazil, stand up, because Zezeh is in the building. Now, Zezeh, let's start with you. You are a natural samba dancer. Explain to us how and when did you start dancing? Did you learn from your parents? Was it at school? Let's go back to Brazil and kind of talk to us about that.
Actually, my family was not much of samba growing up, but I come from a very small city in Mato Grosso do Sul. Okay. And 2 blocks from my grandmother, they had this rehearsal, samba rehearsal.
Okay.
And at 3 and 4, that heart, that beats, I was so excited to hear that. And it was at 5, I started running away from my grandmother's house because I wanted to see the rehearsal. I was so small, I could not see. I had to put pills of blocks and step in to watch.
So you were basically running away from home, going to the location of the rehearsal, pile up blocks and be able to look over the wall to see the rehearsal of samba. Now, and was, I guess at that point in time, did you already feel like that was the one thing that you probably were going to do the rest of your life? Or was it just something that you liked to see and watch? And did you already, because sometimes when we kids, we already kind of imagine what we're going to be and be doing, right, when we grow up?
Yeah. No. Actually, if you tell me I was going to be a dancer, an artist, I was going to tell you no. No at all.
Wow.
I never can do that.
Right.
Because I was the person who I love dance.
Gotcha.
Dance was my passion and go there always.
Okay.
But for me, I was great in math and science, and I wanted to be known by my mind for how smart I am.
Yeah.
And for years, nobody knew that I danced.
Oh, wow. So you this kid who's very good at school, who does very well at school, and everybody admires because of how well you're doing at school, and nobody knows that you actually sneaking out and going to dances.
Yes.
Wow.
And if you tell me how I learned how to samba, I don't know.
You don't know.
Maybe I saw people.
Okay.
Nobody ever taught me.
Oh, so you.
But something always live in my heart.
So you never took classes, you never went to actual lessons, and you just naturally picked it up.
Yes.
Okay. So no one in the family is a dancing person. Now, what happened when you told them, or when they found out that you were dancing?
Actually, my daddy grown up as like none of his daughters going to ever be a samba dancer.
Now, why is that? Why is it that your dad didn't want his daughters to be samba dancers?
Oh, because he is evangelical.
Okay.
Very religious.
Okay.
And he could not see. He said he was stupid now, but yes. And after a while, I started dancing. I love dancing.
Okay.
I wanted to make a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That I was very part of interest for me, the Black movement, the woman movement,
Okay.
different
Gotcha.
arts that I was reading about it.
Okay.
And I really want to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, I went to see this artist. She was singing Leci Brandão.
Okay.
Her name is Leci Brandão. She sings samba.
Okay.
And she's very conscious.
Gotcha.
And I went to her performance.
Mm-hmm.
When I got there, something shifted on me.
Okay.
I saw that she makes so much difference. The Black community, the schools in Brazil,
Right.
kept the Brazilian soul alive.
Got you.
The Black community soul alive.
Right.
And in that moment, I felt that was like, I need to go back
Mm-hmm.
to samba, because at the time nobody knew how to samba.
Got you. And how old were you approximately? I'm sorry. How old were you approximately?
I was in my 20s.
Okay. Okay. So at that point, you have already gone through school and everything. So, because as you're going through school, people still don't know that you're really sneaking out every so often to go dance.
Yes. No, by that time,
Mm-hmm.
I could dance to French dance.
Right.
But not the samba.
Not samba.
Like specific samba.
Got you.
I could go and dance, and people could invite me to dance in samba school or on the parades, and I was like, me? No.
Got you.
But was in that show that I say, whoa, I need to bring the samba back.
Mm-hmm.
To really, the samba of passion and know what you're doing. And at that moment, that's what awakened on me.
Got you. So one concert made you have to look at basically at your calling, right? He wakes you up and brings your calling right before you to a point that you cannot avoid. And from that point on, you become this one person who wants to bring awareness to samba, who wants to learn samba, and then eventually teach samba.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, it's very interesting because samba was never something that I say, I want to do this.
Got you.
Actually, I always try to run away from.
Got you. And
I think that's what we do a lot in life with our passion, right?
Yeah, sometimes that can be problematic. We will run from the things that we actually love because it kind of makes us feel a bit vulnerable. I think it may be the fact that it makes us feel vulnerable, right? And we know that we have vulnerabilities there, so we probably run away from it until we actually can't run anymore. At that point in time, we gotta face it.
Yes.
Yeah. But you know what? Let's take a very quick break because we have a few images of you actually teaching people how to dance samba. So let's go at a few images of you and samba, and then we'll be back in a few minutes. You are listening to Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and my guest today is ZEZEH Brazil. We'll be right back. And we are back. If you have just joined us, you are tuned into Diaspora Central, and my guest today is ZEZEH Brazil. But ZEZEH, you now also go by another name. What is the other name that you go by?
Illheuma
Illheuma.
ZEZEH.
Illheuma ZEZEH. So I'll no longer call you ZEZEH Brazil. I'll always just call you ZEZEH, but Illheuma, it's another name that you also go by. So before we went into this break, we were talking about you dancing samba, you having to sneak out as a little kid to go watch it, and then eventually you trying to get away from it, and finally you go to this concert and you see this one artist. What was her name?
Zezeh Brandão.
Zezeh Brandão. And she brings up the consciousness, the true love of the music, and brings you into the trenches. And from that point on, your mission with samba as an ambassador of samba, I would say, was awoke.
Was to bring the roots.
So at that point, you awakened.
The movement, the origin of the samba.
Right.
The samba is not a custom. It's a movement. It's a heart. It's your soul.
Right.
It's an energy that you most get in contact with from our ancestors.
Got you. And that's one of the things that I kind of also wanted to touch in, because many people just hear samba, hear the music, or see samba dancers, and they automatically feel that it is all. But there's really a lot more than that. It's a culture. It's a lifestyle, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like
it is a culture and a lifestyle that is bringing a lot of, and actually because really starting, like you go back to the origin of the Africans dance and bringing back, and that went to transformation to the samba.
Right.
And when we do that, it's really so get in contact with who you are as a nature. It's with the Mother Earth. It's with your heart.
Good.
It's with your soul expression.
Right.
You know, and that's just the samba. That's when you are really connect.
Right. Now, there's another thing that samba also involves, which is one of the greatest things. It's family, it's neighborhood, it's the block, right? It's the whole city, it's the whole town, and definitely something big in Brazil. So at what point do you leave Brazil and you decide to transcend that frontier and start to take the responsibility of actually being a samba ambassador outside of your own country?
Yes. Dad, actually just before I came here, I had every invitation for me to get out of the carnival at Samba Queen.
Okay.
And I always say no.
Okay.
And when I knew I was moving to US, I say, okay, finally, let me do this before I'm moving.
Okay.
And I thought that was the end of my samba experience.
Got you.
I come to US, my sister was dancing.
Okay.
And
now,
she went to have a baby, and I started performance now and then.
Okay. Now, what is your sister's name, if you don't mind us asking?
Oh, yes, Marinette.
Okay. So your sister also is a dancer, and once in the US, she's actually the one that gets you also involved into dancing.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I started dancing, and then she got married, she got pregnant, and she said, okay, I'm gonna go for a year.
Okay.
And I coming back in a year. She never come back, and I kept dancing.
Oh wow. So you get in to join her, she leaves dancing,
yes.
and you take over from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as I started dancing, people who come into me and say, can you teach me how to samba?
Right.
Can you teach me how to dance? And I always say, no, I cannot do that.
Okay. Now, was
And
that a reason why you didn't want to teach?
yes,
What was the reason?
because samba for me was not 1, 2, 3.
Got you.
Go
Okay.
back and forth.
Right.
And for me, it was like, how am I going to teach? I had people coming to me and say, I know how to samba. And I look at it like, I don't want to say no, but I was like, I don't know what you're doing. And I felt the responsibility, you know, to really pass in that forth.
Right.
If I'm going to teach somebody.
Right.
And see, I was always, no. And how am I going to teach about the smile?
Right.
How am I going to teach about your heart?
The feeling. Right.
The feeling.
Yeah.
Because it's an experience. How am I going to teach the power? And that's what I kept in.
Okay, they kept you.
No.
They kept you refusing invitations to teach. So eventually, you had to accept the invitations because now you teach. So at what point did that transition from not wanting to teach into teaching come about?
Actually, that's when was my spiritual awakening.
Okay.
I went to Brazil and I did my spiritual awakening. And that's where Illheuma come in. That's my spiritual. And when I came in here, I was taking belly dance.
Okay.
I was learning belly dance.
Gotcha.
And my teacher was like, you should teach samba. You should teach samba. I was like, no. When I come back from Brazil and I really got it that this is my call, that's my spirituality, to bring joy to the world. I come back, she's like, I put you to teach samba. I had 85 people.
Wow.
Teaching samba in here at the studio. And I had so much fun, so much joy.
Right.
You know, that from that on, life took it on.
Right.
You know, because I am here to be in service.
Indeed.
I had a goal. I created intention many years ago.
Right.
And when you create intention, life's going to bring to you.
Right. Right.
And I created, and I had no idea.
Right.
That's what's coming. But actually, before I moved to US,
okay,
a friend of mine, he does capoeira.
Okay.
And he's like, a lot of people dance capoeira, but they don't know how to move.
Gotcha.
They have no gingado.
Right, right. They don't have a
jing.
They don't have. Yeah. Now, something interesting that you mentioned. They don't have the ginga on their movement, right? And
yes.
And that's one of the things that, for instance, even for dancers that do kizomba, also, they find sometimes a bit difficult to get because it's the ginga. They think that it is something that is actually choreographed. They don't understand that it's really a feel that goes through, right? So how did you start being able to teach or to direct them to get in touch with the ginga within their souls or their hearts to be able to showcase that their soul? How did you manage to do that?
Yes. How I managed that was I had to deconstruct myself.
Okay.
You know, like how my body as a baby, because if I'm going to teach somebody, I have to teach the body, the mind, and the soul. And I deconstruct every single movement that I do.
Okay.
And in my heart, how do I breathe in? How do I smile? Like where I am.
Right.
And at the moment that I did that, that's how I teach my students. It's like you are walking.
Right. Now.
And gave the 4 steps.
Yeah. Now we still you know what, this conversation is so good that I'm gonna take another quick break so that we can show them a little bit more of what samba is all about, and maybe this time we show them a little bit. So we'll be right back. If you just joined us, you tuned into Diaspora Central, and my guest today is Zezeh Brazil, or Illheuma ZEZEH from Brazil, and we're talking about samba. So we'll be back. And we are back. If you have just joined us, you are tuned into Diaspora Central with Gil Inglés, and my guest today is Illheuma ZEZEH by way of Brazil, and we talking about samba. She is the one person that you need to know if you need to learn how to dance samba, or if you need to understand a little bit more of the Brazilian culture, because after all, samba is not just a dance, and it's not just a music genre, it is a lifestyle. Zezeh.
Yes. And in top of you say, in Brazil, we say, has a me say, samba, it's a religion.
Samba, it's a
Samba
religion.
born in a religion, right?
Yeah.
Because has their only quotation. And actually for me, I meditate, I do a lot of spiritual things, but nothing taking me as samba taking me.
Gotcha.
Spiritually.
Yeah.
It's like the high connection that is hard to explain.
Right. So basically, there's nothing that touches your heart like samba touches your heart.
Yes,
Okay.
and my soul.
And your soul. You know that's gonna make a lot of men jealous, right?
Yes.
So now let's go a little bit into our family. You of course you already a mom.
Yes.
Yeah. How many?
I have two.
Two. Okay. Boy, girls?
I have one boy and one girl.
Oh, wow. Viva. All right. Okay. Now, you come from a family of how many?
7 sisters.
7 sisters. So you guys, and how many brothers?
No brothers.
No brothers. Oh, 8 girls in the family.
Yes, with my mom 8.
Oh, with your mom 8. So 7 girls.
7 girls.
Yeah.
Literally. I feel that I come with this magical numbers.
Got you.
In my life.
Right. So where do you fall in between those sisters? Are you the oldest, the middle, or you're the youngest one out of all of them?
I'm the youngest.
There you go. So you're the one who came out. You're the one who came out with all the mimos and everything else, right? A mimosa.
Yeah, that's what they say, you
No,
know.
which is definitely great. Now, one thing for sure, to all of us that come from different countries, America, it's almost like this place that we come into and we try to figure out exactly how life is going to go. Um, you came into the States and all of a sudden you were like, you know what, you started to feel that responsibility that eventually you had to pass on. You had to become this ambassador of your culture, right? This person
Yeah.
responsible for teaching others in understanding exactly what to be a true Brazilian would be. Now, how difficult was that?
After I figured out,
Mm-hmm.
I was not, because it was so much joy.
It was joyful.
I
Okay.
had so much joy. I
Mhm.
have so much joy
Right.
at the moment
Mm-hmm.
that I step
Right.
to share my culture,
Gotcha.
to share the samba. If we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
the samba, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, if
Yeah.
it's inside of samba, teaching samba,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, like, in general,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things that I teach a lot in my samba
Okay.
about the mind. Our mind is so important.
Hmm.
They creating all the dialogue, right?
Right.
And inside of the mind, what you say in your heart must come as one.
Right. Indeed.
And I just distract a lot of thoughts that the girls coming
Mm-hmm.
in my classes
Mm-hmm.
that thinking about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I transform that to the music.
Right.
It's like, in Brazil, it's like thing, toda boa,
Yeah.
toda boa, toda boa.
There you go.
It's like, you are all delicious.
Right.
You are all wonderful.
Yeah.
You are like always the
Right.
goddess.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's in see, it's transformation.
Right.
Because like when you're the samba queen, you are the goddess.
Right. You
And in
the
Brazil,
mm-hmm.
we have the reference to be the goddess.
Right. Indeed. Yeah. And one of the things that for instance happens here in the diaspora, you guys have teams, right? I guess I would say schools of samba. Now,
Yes.
you are in the Washington metropolitan area, and I'm sure that there are probably other individuals also in the area. But give us your information, for instance, for people who wanted to join your institution. How would they go? How would they get in touch with you?
Yes. Right now I'm in transition.
Okay.
But you can go ZEZEH Brazil
Mm-hmm.
through Facebook,
Okay.
do Twitter,
Okay.
and then Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and then TikTok.
Okay.
All ZEZEH Brazil.
There you go.
And if you want to send email, it's zezehbrazil@hotmail.com.
Okay. Now,
Or
so
people can call me.
there you go. Yeah. But don't give your number on the air because you're gonna get a whole bunch of other calls that probably have nothing to do with.
That's my business number.
Oh, that's good then. Then you can give that number. That'll be different.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have had experiences where people have actually given their real numbers, and then when the calls started coming in, oh gracious, yeah, it gets a little bit heavy. Now, one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one thing in my life
Yeah.
that I create.
Mm-hmm.
That the universe only sending me positive things.
There you go. Good vibes.
And like when you created the words and who you are,
Mm-hmm.
life going to follow.
Right. Yeah. If you build it, if you build, they'll come. Right. That's the field of
Yes.
dreams. Right. If you build, they'll come. Yeah.
People coming, and that's where I always coming from my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, definitely a very inspirational conversation. Zezeh, it's been a pleasure. Anything else that you want to add that we may have not wanted, that that we may not have touched on? Now is your opportunity to do so. If you want to give any shout outs to any loved ones or anyone that has been an influence in your life.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
actually, to inside of this, I wanted to acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
like all the Brazilians that it's bringing our culture to the world.
Right.
You know, I really acknowledge the people who love the culture.
Right.
It's like we have from Houston, California, all over the world, such amazing professionals.
Right.
And that's one acknowledgement that really acknowledge who they are and the contribution that they bring.
Indeed. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and for me, what's one is like, if you wanted to learn the soul, the mind, body of the samba. And I had students, they had been to Brazil to samba, and people like, no, you are not a gringo, you're Brazilian, no? And that's what gave me an honor today to being the ambassador of samba and the love of samba.
Right. No, and we definitely appreciate the diaspora, definitely appreciate your passion, appreciate your love for the music. Zezeh, thank you for joining us. And until next time, remember, keep on doing what you're doing because you're doing it well. From all of us here at Diaspora Central, thank you for joining us. And to all of you, be sure to take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time, peace.